So you're doing. So you said you're doing a thing now.
Yeah, it's called Baby Geniuses, and it's a podcast. And
is it based on the movie Baby Geniuses?
No, but we just thought that'd be a funny name for
Sure.
it. We've been doing it for almost a year now, and it used to be weekly, but now it's on sort of a bi-weekly schedule because Emily's in LA working on a Fox show.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always a tough one when all of your friends get super famous, right?
I know.
But you know you're a New York Times illustrator since the last time I spoke with you.
It's true. The New York Times is like the best one to tell your parents about. Yeah. That's like when they're like, oh wow, okay, we'll actually save this. But then my mom got all jaded and she stopped saving all my articles. Now she only saves the like really huge ones.
That's like
if they're small, she's like, oh, that was a small one.
You probably really felt that too because you know for a while you're like, well, I'm doing these dumb little comics that I'm Xeroxing.
Yeah.
You know, with like boners and stuff. And
I mean, to their credit, my parents have always been like super supportive of all my like shitty drawings. Like I'm amazed that they were supportive of me when I was doing shit in high school and making zines.
How different were the high school zines from what you're doing now?
They were way more autobiographical, and like I would write about my boyfriend and I'd write about my period a lot. They were really gross. But then also I would have like haikus in there, and like I would write about like my favorite kind of shampoo, and I don't know, they were just kind of like a mixed bag of stuff, but they were really weird and gross.
Were they intentionally funny, or were they kind of funny by accident? It sounds like
they were funny. Yeah. A lot of them I was trying to be funny and weird.
Yeah.
So some things haven't changed.
I was thinking about this recently, actually, that like because you've been doing lists for a long time.
Yeah, lists are like an easy go-to, really.
And it's funny because it seems like the rest of the world is caught up with you. Like I was thinking about
I know, right?
Like, the internet is basically it's series
all
of
lists now. And now I'm bored of them, and I'm like, I fucking can't stand lists anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I'm going to do them anymore.
Really?
Yeah, I'm really bored of them. Like, I still have a lot of jokes that start to be formatted in list form, but I formatted in form. But I want to expand them now and just change them up a little bit, or at least have like every part of the list be on a different page or of the zine or whatever. Yeah, just get out of that boring format. That BuzzFeed.
Yeah, exactly. Well. I mean, you said it.
No, I like BuzzFeed. I was just reading something on there yesterday that I really liked.
Yeah, BuzzFeed's one of those things where, like, even if you hate it, you can't avoid it.
It's just the first go-to for that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why it's the first go-to, right? It's doing very well.
I'm just sick of listicles.
Yeah, were lists kind of like an easier thing than just doing like the sequential comics that everybody does?
I just wasn't as interested in doing sequential comics. It's funny because right now I'm working on a long format comic story that's way more traditional than most things I've ever done. I kind of like to go in and out of traditional approaches to comics.
Yeah. This is just you're working on a new book, or is this for somebody?
I don't know what it's for yet. I started posting it online just today. I posted the first 3 pages. It's called Coyote Dog Girl, and it's a Western.
Okay. Sounds like a Western.
Yeah, and it's starting out just with this like coyote cowgirl, and she's talking to her horse, and they're escaping from some people who are pursuing them, and we'll see where it goes.
So the lists will go away, but the horses are gonna.
The horses are here to stay. Yeah, probably forever.
Yeah, you've been drawing horses for. We always come back to horses with you.
I know. Well, they're kind of a big part of my work.
Yeah. Why is that?
I don't know. I just really like them. It's like when
You like drawing them?
Yeah, I like thinking about them, drawing them, being around them. When I was 8 years old, I started taking horseback riding lessons, and up until that point, it had been cats. Like I thought I was a cat. And then when I took my first riding lesson, suddenly it was like a bomb went off. Like it was like horses are it.
That's funny because, like, obviously there's a pretty well established stereotype of little girls liking horses, but oftentimes it's from afar, and you didn't like have that moment until you were actually atop a horse.
I liked them, but yeah, I didn't have that. I didn't go totally bonkers for them until I was on one and like interacting with them in person. I don't know what it's about. I couldn't tell you why.
Are you working through it?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really. It's kind of, I mean, people ask me all the time, like, why I like horses, why I like animals. And it's a little bit like I just say, like, it's like trying to explain why I like ice cream. Like,
yeah.
I just like it. I don't know. It's good.
Are you working toward ranch with horse? Is that the end goal?
What with horse?
Ranch with horse.
Ranch with horse. Oh, in my life?
Yeah.
That's the dream, but in reality, I don't know if I could do that. I'm not a very good farm worker. I was never that great at riding. Horses actually frighten me a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm not currently like taking lessons. I mean, also because I live in the city. But yeah, I think horseback riding is really dangerous.
So you told me that we're for contextual purposes we're in your studio right now in Brooklyn, and he told me that you've got kind of, I guess you're working against a deadline right now. Is that why you've got to be here until late?
Right now I'm designing an album cover for my friends, and then I'm also designing a book cover for my other friend.
Yeah.
So I got a couple of things piled up, and then in a couple weeks I'm leaving for Minneapolis for a week-long art residency. It's called PFC, and it has a lot of cartoonists involved, and I'm very excited about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to finish a bunch of stuff before I go.
Yeah. That's fun though. Have you done a residency before?
Not quite like this, and I still don't know what to expect, and I don't know if we're going to collaborate or do experimental comics or just work on our own stuff. I have no idea.
You just agreed because you wanted to go to beautiful Minneapolis?
Honestly, I just saw the list of other people going, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to go. Because it's like Eleanor Davis, Lily Carre, Genevieve Castre, Domitil Collardy. I'm like,
sure.
Yeah, I'll go.
I mean, these are people that you see at shows, though, right? I mean,
but I actually haven't spent that much time with most of them. Domitil is like a close friend, and she is in Brooklyn, but Genevieve I've only really met twice, and Eleanor lives in Georgia or something. So, and I've only met her once, I think. Yeah. I feel close to them, interacting with them online, and I feel like a camaraderie with them through our work and mutual sort of respect. But yeah, I want to hang out with them. I want to feel like I'm in a sorority with them for a week. I want to give them makeovers.
That's funny actually, because and related to Domitil, this was something that we were talking about before. So this is your space now. You're in here with a bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
And for that reason alone, it's different than the old space that you worked out of.
It doesn't feel different in terms of gender, really, because it just feels different as a space, because at Pizza Island we were all really crammed together. Mm-hmm. We had, I don't know if did you ever come there?
I never actually visited, no.
The space was really tiny. We had 6 or 7 people crammed into a tiny, tiny room. And here it's 5 people, and we all have quite a bit of square footage. So you can sort of feel like you're by yourself sometimes. But we also play music out loud here, and at Pizza Island we never did. And Pizza Island is a little bit more about sharing our snacks and gossiping, and we do that here too.
The sleepover, as you were saying before.
Occasionally it felt like that. Yeah. I guess here, well, also I was friends with those girls first before I was in a studio with them. And here I've gotten to know the guys better since coming in here, but it just feels a little more professional for that reason. I'm a little bit on my better behavior here.
Yeah. So what is
but gender-wise, it doesn't really feel that different.
It is the same fart jokes probably is.
Yeah. There were more fart jokes with the girls. The humor was way grosser, I must say.
That's interesting, actually. I'm wondering if, how long have you been in the space for?
Almost a year.
Okay. So that's
the guys here are, better behaved than the girls, and, they think they're being gross sometimes, and they'll make dick jokes and be like, oh, it's probably too bro-y for you, whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, you have no idea how disgusting we were at Pizza Island. I kind of miss that sometimes.
So is it obviously there's the kind of the rent issue. I mean, obviously it's cheaper to share a studio with a bunch of people. But why share a studio? Is that the main reason?
Honestly, I'd always worked at home. I'd always liked that better. Even when I was in college and we had our own art studios, I would just go home and work there. But after Pizza Island ended, I went back to working at home, and it just wasn't really functioning for me anymore. And I got really depressed and kind of agoraphobic, and I like wasn't leaving the house enough. And so part of me looking for a studio was just to like remedy that. Like I need to leave the house once a day at least and work in another space with other people. So that's kind of what this is for me. I mean, also it's just nice to work around other professionals and get advice from them and inspiration. And even when you're all quiet, it kind of just keeps you motivated to be working next to other people who are working.
That's always been kind of like the chicken and the egg question for me is, you know, are cartoonists because they're antisocial, or how much of that kind of solitary job makes them more antisocial?
I don't know. I mean, cartoonists are definitely weirder and less social than illustrators.
Yeah.
Who are weirder and less social than designers. I'd say there's like a...
We're weirder and less social than the rest of the general public.
Than people in finance, yes. I mean, that's a very huge generalization. Of course, there are cartoonists who are like social butterflies, but that's not the norm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a lot of cartoonists my age are just beginning to like learn to be healthy in their lives. Like, that's something I've noticed. Like, we've all sort of been these like weirdos who are kind of just bad at like taking care of ourselves, but we can get the work done. And then only recently are we learning like, oh, I can go out and hang out with people and like take a shower regularly and still get work done. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's just like this whole thing of becoming like a grown person, like, you know.
Yeah, maybe that's just being a grown up, and it's not just like a cartoonist thing.
Yeah, because we were talking about this restaurant that I went to before, and do you ever have that moment where you're like, you walk into a restaurant and you're like, oh yeah, I'm like at a point in my life now where, you know, I can buy food.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that exciting?
It's a weird thing.
I still feel weird going to restaurants by myself. I'm like, oh, what if can I like sit here and read my book while I order my food? Is someone going to kick me out? Like, no, I'm an adult. I can do what I want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although,
and I assume that you're doing, you know, you're living in Manhattan. I assume you're doing okay for yourself.
Yeah, it's doing. We moved there actually because my boyfriend works in Chelsea and his commute was getting pretty shitty from Greenpoint, as you can imagine. So now we're both commuting, but
you're reverse commuting now.
We like live in an apartment now, like half the size of the one we were in Greenpoint, but it's cool. We got rid of half our shit. We didn't need that shit. Feels good. Yeah.
Are you spending less time at home now that your place is half as large?
No, it's really cozy. I did a really good job decorating it.
Yeah. I mean, you were saying before that you were like becoming, like, I guess, more social in a sense.
A little bit. Just a tiny bit. I still, like, to me, there's nothing better than like having my plans be canceled for the night so I can just stay by myself.
Sure. No,
like,
I get that.
That's the best feeling.
I get that.
I'm still a big time flake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like to be by myself. That'll never change.
What's the book tour life like for you then?
Oh God, it's crazy. I mean, it's actually really great because it's like a self-selecting audience. So wherever I go, the people who come out for that event are super excited. So it's not like you're at a bookstore and there's obviously like a lot of people who just kind of happen to be like shuffling around. And I think my publisher did a really good job of making sure that the events were at stores where they could get a good crowd. D&Q? Yeah, John Quarterly. They really are good at what they do in terms of like publicity and stuff. I would not mess with Peggy Burns. No, I wouldn't either. She's a wildcat at the karaoke mic. She's a very impressive person. And I felt like I was in very good hands touring. Like, even when things went wrong, I felt like it was taken care of. And like, when did things go wrong? Oh, just like sometimes, you know, when you're doing like a reading, technical difficulties will occur and it's awkward. But like now it's like, that used to be like the most embarrassing thing to me. And now it's like not that big a deal. It's like, whatever. What were the venues like? Mostly bookstores. I did one event in Portland. I did Livewire, which is a show. And that was terrifying because I was on stage with Kristen Schaal, and she and I were supposed to read my Warhorse review together.
She blurbed your book.
Yes.
So you guys are bros.
I had met her once. I had met her one time.
She's familiar with your work.
I illustrated a book that she wrote a long time ago, and that's how we originally met.
Yeah.
But we were not bros.
Yeah.
I would love to be her bro.
Sure. She seems like a pretty sweet bro.
Yeah, she is the sweetest person ever. But it was terrifying. Like,
so this is like,
so
it's an NPR show. It's recorded live. There's like a live band.
Yeah.
Is Luke Burbank doing it now? Is
Yes.
he there? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're like, you're going to read your movie review with Kristen, but you can't show any images because it's for radio. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that.
Okay. Because we've worked a lot together in the past where you've done like carousel shows.
Yeah.
Which is you standing. It's such a weird thing to describe because it sounds like it shouldn't work, but it does.
But it does somehow.
You standing basically in front of a projector and reading your comics.
Yeah,
off the
I just
screen.
show the slides and I read it, but it's funny because you can actually see what I'm describing.
Yeah.
But I'm not a stand-up comedian, and I don't think I ever could be. And so, to me, standing on a stage talking without showing images is like a nightmare.
Yeah.
But it actually went okay because Kristen's really funny and she made it funny.
I mean, it's especially weird because obviously this is not something that was written to be read on stage.
No.
It's a review of a movie.
Yeah. Somehow it worked,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I'm alive.
So otherwise, what was a typical audience like for you?
Good. I mean, it's funny because, like, with a stand-up audience, if they don't laugh, it's like a big failure, right? It's like you're joke bombed.
Yeah.
But with a book reading crowd, I think they tend to be more polite. So even if I'm telling a joke and they don't laugh, it doesn't mean they didn't enjoy it. Like, sometimes the audiences were just super quiet, and then afterwards they'd be like, that was so great. I'm like, really? Why weren't you laughing?
That's interesting. It's actually not something that had occurred to me before, but, given what your comics are like, especially the list ones, I mean, it is just like telling a series of jokes, right?
I know. I think with comics and with just readings, people are a little more quiet.
Yeah.
Some of the audiences were really laughy.
Yeah. Or they were thinking about the jokes in a way you wouldn't. The expectations are different when you go into a bookstore.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say they all went really well, all the events.
Yeah, yeah. Has that like? It's just probably kind of a silly question, but like, now that you've had to sort of like analyze your work from like 9 or 10 different angles, has it made you rethink anything?
Actually, I think it's just made me super excited to make more work.
Yeah.
It's funny because the book, it's like, oh, this is all work I made in the last 2 years, so I've already sort of digested it and decided what I need to do better for next time. So reading reviews of it is kind of pointless because it's like I already know what I need to improve upon. That sounds kind of like I'm bitter or something, but
I mean you write reviews and you feel like those reviews like reflected your own criticism of yourself.
Some of them I just feel like, I don't know, missed the boat or whatever, but
Sure.
It doesn't make sense for me to pay attention to them, really.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to know going into that people are not going to get it, right?
Yeah, it's just not for them or whatever. But I mean, most people liked it, so that's all I can hope for.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll certainly give you credit for making something that's not like other things that are out there.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope that's what most people take away from it, that it's something different. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff in that book where I'm like, I'm not really interested in making this kind of work anymore. Oh, well.
Yeah, that's interesting because, obviously there are some like kind of aesthetic and thematic consistencies over the mini comics that you've been doing and the stuff that's...
And that'll continue. I mean, okay. I'm always going to have animals and like weird sex jokes and hats. Yeah, I'm probably continue to draw hats.
But I mean, have you, in a sense, is this like a closing of a chapter for you?
I don't know. Never say never, but I'm not really interested in doing film reviews anymore. Mm-hmm. I feel like I could just keep doing those for the next 10 years. And
there's plenty of places that'll publish them.
Yeah. But I just got bored of them. That said, like, if a week from now I feel like doing one, I'll do one. But I like, some people are just like, oh, when's the next movie review? I'm like, I don't know, maybe never.
It's kind of a weird thing to get bored of, in the sense that, like, the movies will keep changing, right? So it's not like you're doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, but I'm always just reacting to something that somebody else created, which I think is limited in terms of me creating new content. Like I'd rather just create something from scratch or like write about something else, like something that's happening in my life, or I don't know. It was a good. I'm glad I did them.
Yeah. What was the process like? I mean, did you go into a movie knowing that you were going to do a review of it?
The first time I did it, I just watched Transformers 3, and it was
like I need to make art.
Yeah, it was just an insane experience. And at the time I was working on my children's book, and I was really kind of in the final stretch of that, and I was kind of losing my mind. And so I took one night off and just wrote this review of Transformers, and I painted up the little illustrations, and then I almost threw it in the garbage, but I asked my boyfriend if it was worth posting, and he was like, yeah, just put it on your blog. See if people like it. And I did, and they did. So it's funny, like I do sometimes use my Tumblr as like a measure of something's success, which I shouldn't, because like the things that do the best on there are like gifs of cats.
Sure.
But it is a low pressure way of gauging response sometimes, where it's like, nobody's paying me to do this. This isn't on somebody else's blog. This is just me. So I'll just throw it up there.
But if you didn't have Tumblr, would you just be throwing more stuff out generally? I mean, if there wasn't,
Oh no, I mean, if I didn't have Tumblr, it'd be like something else.
But I mean, if you didn't have Twitter, if you didn't have like, if the internet, if you were doing this like 15 years before. I mean,
in that case, I'd just be making zines and passing them around to my friends. That's like old school Tumblr. Yeah. That's what I did in high school. I would just make zines at Kinko's and give them to my friends, and if my friends like really loved them, I would make a couple more and a couple more, and yeah, that's how I really got into comics in the first place. Is showing my zines at little conventions and stuff.
You had a zine come out or a mini comic come out not too long before the book came out.
Oh, Sell Your Boobs.
Yeah, Sell Your Boobs. Are you going to keep making that? I mean, now that you're a published author.
Yeah, I think I'll keep making zines.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking about making another floppy comic, like I Want You. Mm-hmm. I like smaller comics.
Just because you can get it out there faster.
Yeah, and I like how sort of ephemeral zines are. Like with Sell Your Boobs, like I have.
You can just throw it off with a straight face.
It's funny.
But Sell Your Boobs.
Such a stupid title.
It's just like I see you on like MSNBC or something.
Sell Your Boobs.
Yeah. Well, Joe, with Sell Your Boobs, what I was making a political.
Oh God, I'm gonna just name my zines. That's one reason to keep putting them out, is so I can put more stupid titles out into the world.
Was there? That's actually interesting. What was the title conversation like with Drawn Quarterly?
Oh, I mean, I threw a lot of things out there. I was like, save a horse, ride a Hanawalt. That's like, I've always wanted to call something that, but I always kind of circled back around to My Dirty Dumb Eyes. That was like a title that I'd had in mind from the beginning, and it never was like a pow, this is the right title moment, but it just kind of felt like it fit.
You weren't like throwing out dirty stuff that they didn't want? Or...
Oh, no. There is never any kind of thing like that with them.
Yeah.
No, like the alternative titles in the back of the book, that's just a joke.
Okay.
Like none of those were ever under consideration.
So, and I hate to even ask this question, but like, what's the deal with the title?
My Dirty Dumb Eyes. Well, when we were pitching the book, my agent and I were sort of like, what is this book? This is like the world through your eyes. It's just like, I'm like, okay, what do I see when I look at the world? I see dirty, dumb stuff. Like, it's like, it's kind of a pretentious thing. Like, oh, the world through my eyes. Like anyone should give a shit like what I see the world as. But they do, because I see funny stuff and stupid stuff, and it's entertaining. So I don't know, and I just like the sound of it. It also sounds a little like Damn Dirty Ape.
Sure. So like, obviously you've got a somewhat like literal cover. You've got things shooting out of somebody's eyes. I mean, did you feel the need to kind of make a joke around that if you're doing such a pretentious title?
No, but I definitely I definitely wanted a dog on the cover because I was at the airport and I was looking at all the bestsellers. You know, they have them in a row. And like at one point, 4 of them had Labradors on the cover, and most of them had them sort of peeking up, so you could see like their eyes looking over the cover and their nose. So I was like, okay, if I get a book, I'm going to make that the cover. I'm going to have a Labrador.
I want a bestseller?
Yeah, just like as a joke. Like, all I have to do is put a Labrador on it and it'll sell well. Except mine's going to be awesome. It's going to have helicopters shooting out of its eyes. I don't know, it seemed like a really fun thing to draw. So,
what was the process of working with drawing a query like? I mean, were they super hands on?
It's super hands off, so easygoing. Just like at first, I was freaking out, and I was like, Tom, I don't know what this book's going to be. Should I include the movie reviews or not? Or like, does this go together? And he was just like, whatever, just do it. Like, he's like, you could just like hand us a pile of loose artwork and have us like scan everything for you and edit it for you and stuff, but it'll take a little longer if you do it that way. They were super easygoing. And then Tracy Heron edited my book, and she just put everything into this like order that made a lot of sense. And
so you didn't just send a pile of artwork to Montreal?
No. I scanned it and I had it in like an order that I originally put it into, and I was like, I don't know if this is the right order, and she rearranged things a little bit and just kind of tidied up my mess. Yeah.
Are you working towards another book now?
I guess so. I guess I always am. Yeah. I'm just making work and
but
not.
That just means like collecting stuff. You're not.
Yeah, I'm not worrying about what it's gonna. For me, I find it's best to not worry about what it's gonna look like in finished form, because then I just get anxious and I don't want to make it. So I'm doing this cowboy comic, and I'm gonna see what happens with that.
I mean, it sounds like it could potentially be a long form thing, though. I mean, are you doing more like narrative stuff after that book?
I don't know. This is just kind of what I felt like doing. Yeah. It's already twice as long as the longest comic I've done before.
Which is how many pages, roughly?
Oh, right now I'm up to like 16 or 17 pages, which isn't very long for most people, but for me it's super long.
Sure.
And I've written out more of it. So I guess I'll just do it until I get bored or feel like it needs to end.
How closely are you following the feedback? I mean, you said you're kind of like sending stuff out to Tumblr to see how people react to it.
Oh, I just posted the first couple pages today. This comic's a little more touchy-feely and not as funny as other stuff I've done. There's not like, so many. It's funny, but it's like in a weird way. It's not like they're actual jokes.
What does that mean?
It's just like, it's a little funny how the girl talks and like things about it are odd.
It's like quirky more than funny, maybe. Or,
I don't know. I don't like the word quirky, but when I've shown it to like 2 close friends, and I've been surprised at how they've laughed at parts of it. Maybe just because they know me. Maybe that's why. But it in of itself, it's not a funny comic. But so part of just posting it is like, are people actually interested in this? I don't know. Maybe this one's just for me, but we'll see.
Are you surprised when people who don't know you react the way they do to your work?
Yeah, it's a little bit weird. It's always weird when like strangers are like, I love your book or whatever. There's a little bit of a disconnect where I forget what they're actually responding to, or I don't know. It's nice though.
Yeah. Is it one of those situations where they feel like they like? I mean, do people feel like they know you once they read your book? Sometimes
people, I think they think I'll be like crazy or weird when they meet me because my work's a little violent or sexual, but I'm pretty normal, I guess.
So people are like on their guard when they meet you for the first time? Maybe.
Some people are super nervous to meet me, and it's funny. Yeah. I'm usually pretty nice.
Cool. So are you doing more New York Times stuff? Is that still in the pocket?
Yeah. I have plans to.
Is that kind of your main income or illustrations at this point? Or?
No, I actually haven't done anything for them in quite a long time. Yeah. When I want to make money, like illustration's a good way to go, but I'm losing interest in it a little bit.
Money. I mean, you live in Manhattan, so money is.
I know. Actually, I did some character and background designs for an animation not too long ago, and so the income from that has been keeping me going for a little bit. And we're trying to sell it as a show, so
that's
knock
cool.
on wood that works.
So you just did design, though? You didn't actually do any of the writing for it?
No, my friend, a really close friend from high school, wrote it.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah. And I'm sort of, I think eventually I'll go in that direction, like towards thinking in terms of TV shows and animation. I don't know
like a good fit.
Yeah, and it just seems like a lot of people are doing that right now, and I'm like, oh, that wouldn't be bad.
So I mean, when you put a book like that out in the world, do you know the offers don't just start like rolling in from places looking for pitches?
They're not like rolling in, but yeah, I mean, people are interested. I have like an entertainment agent now, which is weird.
What does that
At
mean?
United Talent Agency.
Just for like script writing, or what is an entertainment agent?
I don't even know.
You don't know? You have an agent? You don't know what?
I know. I don't know yet. I've had a bunch of conference calls with them, and I'm like, I don't understand.
Take me through that process of like of how you got an entertainment agent that you don't know what they do for you.
It was through my. Oh, this is going to just not make any sense to people who listen to this. They'll be like, what the fuck is she talking? She lives in Manhattan and she has 2 agents? What the hell? It's going to make me sound like such a billionaire, but I make less than a teacher. Like, it's crazy. It's all long-term goal with
you've
comics.
got a book agent.
You do not make money from comics.
Yeah.
Let me just put that out there.
No, I get that. And you've got a book agent. That makes
I have
sense
a book
you make
agent.
books.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm on board with you so far.
Yeah. I don't know. She just was like, we need to think in terms of like TV shows and stuff like that. So
your book agent said that?
Yeah.
Like, we need to figure out how to actually make you money because publishing doesn't make money?
I guess that's the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm interested in animated shows, so this just seems like a good step. But it's not like they're suddenly putting me into meetings with like Wes Anderson or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just a stepping stone.
I'm like fascinated by pitch meetings right now. I've been in a few.
Have you been in some?
I have been in some.
They're terrifying
they're
me.
They're all the same, at least the ones that I've been in, which are, I'm going to name you 2 things that exist right now, and how can we make that into one thing, one successful thing.
Which is so weird because that just means you're going to get something that looks like 2 other things that already exist.
Sure, but I mean, they're successful things, so it makes sense that we want to make the exact same thing.
Right. But that's just like what those people want to hear. They want to hear like, oh, this is going to be exactly like Louie or Girls. Yeah. And that's like what they understand is things that have already been made. Because if you say this is a completely new thing, it'll scare the shit out of them.
So have you like, how far into this process have you gotten? Have you done
Not
that?
far.
Okay, so
no.
You haven't sat down and done that pitch yet?
No.
Have you thought in terms of like?
Luckily, I've like started to understand what that process is like through my friend's show that I've worked on.
Yeah.
So I've like been in a couple of meetings through that. I've been like, okay, this is what this is like. It's terrifying, but I haven't actually pitched anything of my own yet.
Can you talk about that project at all? Or
no, I can't yet, unfortunately.
Okay. Can you tell me just like how it came about? I mean, this is somebody you've known for a long time.
He had a pitch. This is the first thing he pitched when he was in LA, actually, and he's years ago.
Trying to pitch. He's out in LA pitching shows at this point.
He's a successful writer. He actually works on shows. He's brilliant. And he sent in this pitch.
You went to high school with him. I was like, oh no.
He's the smart one. I'm his dumb friend. No. He had this pitch, and he actually just included a bunch of my artwork in his pitch without asking me. And then afterwards, he was like, "Oh, hey, I did this. Do you want to like work on this thing that I wrote?" And I said yes. And yeah, it's been like a couple of years now in the process of.
It's like
it takes a long time.
Yeah,
that stuff.
Everything does, though. I mean, like, you had how long did the book take? I mean, obviously, like, you had already written a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, luckily the book is like, oh, I'll just put together all this shit already made for the most part. Although there are like 60 pages of new content. Very important. A lot of people are like, all of this is online. Yeah. No, it's not true.
And you don't want to take your laptop onto the toilet, so...
I've tried, and it just doesn't feel good.
Buy a book.
It doesn't feel right to have your lap
nice
that warm when you're peeing.
Well, actually, when you describe it that way, it actually sounds quite pleasant.
I know. Maybe I'll try it again.
We were saying that, like, before that, like, you know, the zeitgeist is sort of, like, caught up to you right now, that everybody's doing lists, so it seems like the time to kind of strike while the iron's hot, right? I mean, like, you know...
What,
To pitch stuff for TV. When you're doing lists, when you're kind of appealing to, like, in a sense, like, people's short attention spans.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to make a TV show that's like a list, but in list form.
I mean, it's going to happen anyway, right? So you might as well be the one to do it.
I was thinking that yesterday. I was like, oh, it doesn't even need to be one big plot in one TV show. It could just be like a bunch of shorts, but they're all mine. Like that could work. But yeah, I mean, I only have like the tiniest beginnings of ideas right now, so
you don't feel like in this world of you know, instant gratification that a list show could be successful on television.
It could, but I just don't know if I want to be a part of it.
You don't want to be the person like dumbing down TV even further.
If I do something, I want it to be really good, and I mean, it can definitely be dumb because I like dumb stuff.
Sure,
but yeah, I want it to be good too.
There you go, Lisa Hanawalt. Fantastic, as always. Thanks so much to Lisa. She's got a new book out now on Drawn Quarterly. It's called My Dirty Dumb Eyes. Definitely check that hilariousness out and all of her various mini comics. I am talking to you from a very small hotel room in Berlin, Germany right now on about an hour of sleep. So good thing I only have to record this thing at the end of the show. Thanks to Lisa. Thank you guys so much for tuning in yet again. If you liked what you heard, you can rate us on iTunes or shoot us an email. It's riylcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Tumblr. We have a Tumblr. It's riylcast.tumblr.com. Bunch of good shows still coming up. Got interviews with Kim Deitch, Reggie Watts, Leslie Stein, a whole bunch of other good ones. Oh, Seth Lynn from This American Life. That's coming up as well. We will be back with you in the very near future with another episode of RIYL.